In a world where the truth isn't always what it seems, four masters of real estate step forward to help put the E first in the word true. TREU. Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. And now, here's the Fantastic Four of Real Estate with their host, Tom Platania.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our second Friday edition of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platini, your host, and we have here in the studio. We got a small crowd with us this morning.
Well, you know, there's
depends on how you look at it.
There's something about this Friday. It's I woke up this morning at like 7:30, and I realized I said, "Oh, I can sleep in today. It's Friday. I got nothing to do. I finished everything yesterday. I laid back down. All of a sudden, I woke up. Oh yeah, the radio show.
Yeah, it is a change because I've been doing between either this show or the other show. I've been doing Thursday radio shows for almost 6 years now.
Right.
Every single Thursday for almost 6 years. And the other one was up at the WPSL studio. So it's really weird. It's really weird doing a Friday. You know, like you said, Friday's kind of your wind down from the hectic week, and you get up maybe a little later, or but yeah.
Well, and I was planning on taking the whole weekend off because Jane's going away for her month summer vacation next week, and so I'm going to be working 7 days a week for 4 weeks straight. So I wanted to take a nice weekend off,
Oh boy!
But I've challenged myself. I was like, I'm going to have 4 new listings by the time you come back. So
well, there you go.
Because she's the listing agent.
Oh,
so
okay.
She's the one who normally goes after that. I was like, I'll bite a little on this challenge here.
You're buttering up my mug.
Hey, I just want to keep this ball rolling, man. I'll tell you, I mean, things have been hot for us. We've closed over $2.5 million in the past month and a half.
Oh my gosh!
And
just in a month and a half.
Yeah, I mean, about half of that is land, and that's where you get some big ones. Like we had $1 million closing with 104 acres. But it's also adding up, a $300,000 house here, $100,000 house here. It's and it's really helped, having the team situation that we have, because a lot of that work is being done by individual team members. Where we listed a house in Evergreen, and we were kind of testing the market with the price because it was a very interesting house, unique. It was kind of upside down in the sense the living area is upstairs.
Right.
And a lot of people don't go for that. So we didn't necessarily know where to price it. We're like, okay, we want to go, get the person the best value for their dollar. And so, we ran a lot of comps, spent a lot of time thinking about it, put it out there, and got a couple that came in the first day open house.
Oh, wow.
First day after contract, fell in love with it, and they made an offer, and we said, let's counter back at full price. Just, we don't know, what's
right.
It's only day one. We have plenty of time to keep going. Counter back at full price, and they took it. So full price in one day. But then now these couple, they didn't think we didn't expect to sell our house that quickly. So they're like, we got to get out there.
Do you find that a lot now?
Well, yeah, it does happen because with the houses selling, and as we're writing the contract for the listing, we said to the wife said to me, and she was at the moment like 8.5 months pregnant, and she said, should I not look for a house until we're under contract? And I said, you might want to start looking right away. Here's our website where you can search. But because you don't know, I'm not guaranteeing it, but we could sell it tomorrow. And I was saying that kind of, just in case, but it did end up happening.
Unreal.
But what was great is we were so busy with other listings and with that. But what's great, because we have team members, we were able to grab one of our team members, Crisula Trucas, and be like, you need to take this couple out and find them their dream home now. And these people, they made a decent, amount on theirs. They were able to go, and they were downsized, but upgraded.
Oh,
smaller house, but a lot nicer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the profit that they made, and they ended up finding their dream house within 7 days. So it was really nice to be.
It all worked out,
right? So instead of we don't have time to find you, no, we've got somebody. Here you go. They're going to take you out, and that's what we're going to do to make sure that everyone's taken care of.
Oh, I like that. That's what I like about the team mentality instead of just the one realtor. Because when you run into a situation like that, that you have somebody else on your team that you can rely on that can help, pick up the pace. That's
and
awesome.
It makes me feel good too, like with my mom. Now, she deserves to take this time off. She works really hard.
Yeah.
She's 37 years in the business, and all of this, the mentoring that I'm getting and experience and the database I'm getting from her, that I can now say, she would never have been able to take a month-long vacation if she didn't have a team.
Yeah,
because you can't let that would be unfair to your
clients.
clients.
Take a day or two here and there, but that'd be it.
But she can go and visit all this family and everything because she knows she has 4 other people working her business for her.
Yeah.
And she made it very clear, though. She sent out an email, said, I'm available between 10 and 10:30 every day. If you have questions, fit them between that time. Otherwise, leave me alone. And I don't blame her.
Well, you're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed, TREU Radio, as we like to call it. And, well, I'm not dyslexic. I didn't spell it wrong. It is TREU, and that's because we like to educate our listeners. What on, Scott? What have we, over the past 6 months we've been on the air, we have educated them about all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah. We've done mortgages and insurance and short sales, refinancing. We talked about how to get, it was interesting talking with Christian Penner, about the renovation loans.
That's actually
that's something that I'm working on with people, right now.
And that's one of our topics today. Talking about fears fading over, looming home equity resets, which kind of on the renovation portion of that. But yeah, we have just educated about all kinds of stuff. So we are the place, and also go onto our website. TREURadio.com. That's TREU radio.com. And if you go there right now, you can actually watch us live in the studio. Now, there are going to be some commercial breaks from the program that we're on. However, because we take commercial breaks, we actually kind of catch up. So you'll end up getting back with us live. So no worries there. But you can always go back and watch any of our other shows. So all the stuff Scott was just talking about, the equity lines of credit.
They're all in the archives, and they're all listed. So you just look it up by topic, and and what's great. And then obviously, if you want to talk to myself or any of the other realtors on the show, just give us a call at 772-444-2590. It's a Google Voice account. Just leave your message, and we will get back to you right away. And if they want to talk to us today, what number do they use?
They give us 772-220-9788.
Excellent.
That's 220-WSTU.
That's convenient.
Yeah, I wonder how long it took them to get that. You think they just asked for that, Mike?
I think we got that like 75 years ago.
75 years ago.
It was like a telegraph.
You type out the Morse code for WSTU.
And
there was a traffic jam.
And Greg and Carol were both the owners still then? I hope they're not listening. Well, hey, speaking of the market and how quick things are turning around, I got a little local market update here for our surrounding areas. Now, this is all these numbers are from second quarter of 2013 versus the second quarter of 2014. The first one is closed sales. We're actually up 14.9% from this quarter last year to 1,635 closes in the second quarter versus only 1,400 in second quarter last year.
2,000 more.
The median price actually went up 9.2% from 120 to 131,000. So to me, what's that say to your clients, whether buyers or sellers?
And that's just an average area. If you certain areas, you've almost seen like 30% increases.
Exactly, because that's the median. Yeah.
Depending on the hotness, in Palm Beach, Jupiter is a very hot address. Everyone wants that now.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the new construction down there, Rialto or Prado?
I'm actually doing some houses down there for my load and energy calc company.
Okay, yeah. So my brother's construction manager down there at Prado, so I've seen some of the gorgeous stuff that they're doing, and it's just amazing what. What's interesting is because they're on the borderline, so they have a Jupiter address, but they get Martin County taxes. So talk about the best of both worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get to send your kids to Jupiter schools,
So Jupiter's got higher taxes?
Right. Well, because Palm Beach taxes are worse than
I see. Okay,
Martin.
Yeah.
But because it's just a weird the way it's situated, they get hooked up like that. So it's kind of neat, those.
Let's see, days on the market. based on what you're saying. The days on the market was reduced by 8.3%. It was 60 days average on the market. Well, median, not average. Median was 60 days. Now the median's down to only 55 days, which you're noticing that in this area that a lot of times it's much quicker than that.
Yeah, and the sales are going fast because the demand's there. Right. But also realtors, the really good ones, have learned the whole old school game of overprice and then let them lowball and then go back and forth until you come.
And that takes time.
It's a total waste of people's time when you can price something right. When you can say, hey, this is what it should go for. Is this enough to cover what your needs are? Because they need to look at, how much they owe and things like that. But if it covers their needs or they're making a good profit, if the idea is that this is what it's going to sell for.
Right.
So let's not play games. And I've had, prospective customers, they're worried. They're like, well, but other people are going to come in and lowball me. And I said, yes, they are.
And you know what the great thing about that is you can tell no.
You say no. And I never tell people to say no. I always say counter offer.
Right.
Counter offer at full price. And people don't think they can do that. I'm like, yeah, just keep saying nope, 127,000. Nope, 127,000. The demand's there enough, someone's going to pay it.
Exactly.
So and you don't have to take it. And if it's priced right,
exactly.
And that takes a little bit of time. It's an art. There's a little bit of a science because you do math. But then you go look at the house, and then you think about it and you compare it and use your
because if you're listing a house at $419 and the house should only be at like $420. You're going to have a lot of people that may click on it to look at it, but the moment they look at the price, they're going to walk away. So
and
you're going to lose a lot of people.
They're savvy because they have these internet engines too.
Yeah, exactly.
So they don't have a problem knowing that, hey, the houses in this neighborhood go for around this amount.
Yeah.
So you can't really fool people.
It's an information age today.
Absolutely.
You can't, years and years and years ago where they didn't have that ability, you could. But nowadays, somebody in a matter of moments can Google stuff and find, with all these other Trulia and Zillows and all those other things. And of course, those are a little bit judgmental, but they could get a better idea. If a house is, $100,000 overvalued, been priced, you're gonna lose so many potential buyers in the beginning than what you're saying about price it right. Yeah, you know what? You may take a chance that somebody may have offered you $5,000 more. Yeah, okay, but is it that worth it versus keeping it on the market for 60, 90 days?
And the keeping it on the market. And the thing I always like to tell most people is, how long do you want people trudging through your house?
Yeah.
Do you want every day for 6 months people, hey, this is Scott, we're going to bring, or would you rather us have a broker's open house really quick right at the beginning, get as many people as we can through the door in the first week and get some excitement built on it?
Exactly.
And the thing is, if you don't get an offer, then maybe you've priced it wrong. And we have to think about, hey, let's drop it a little bit here. If it's something that they can, you have to have that discussion with them while you're listing. But I like to have that discussion saying, can we agree that if in 14 days or 28 days, if we haven't had an offer, then we're going to have a discussion about dropping it $5,000.
Yeah.
Because you really should. If it's done right, you should be getting offers.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Inventory active listings has gone up 21.5%. So we're up to 1975 versus only 1626 in active listings in this area, which is a huge. And I would say a lot of that probably has to do with the foreclosures and short sales kind of going away and things of that nature. Monthly supply of inventory is up 15.7% to 4.4 versus 3.8 over last year. Townhouses, now that was on single-family homes, but we also have townhouses and condos, which you have a lot of those around here, right?
Yep.
And the closed sales there were up 10.6%. The median price, however, on townhouses and condos, and I want to ask you this question, that went down 13.8%. So from $145,000 last year to an average, a median price of $125. What would you think would be the cause of that?
And this is purely speculation on my part, but I think the increase in availability of single-family homes makes those kind of dwellings less desirable. Because wouldn't you rather have a single-family home than share a wall with somebody?
Exactly. Plus, the pricing is very close to what the townhomes and condos are.
Exactly. I mean, I have customers in that, some customers in that $125,000 range, and you can get nice townhouses for that, but there's also some fixer-upper single families, and there are people going, I'd rather do a 203K renovation loan on a single-family home and not share a wall with somebody.
Yeah, and then when you want to put on your 75-inch flat screen and crank up the surround sound, that you don't have to worry about the guy upstairs going,
do the whole Tom Cruise risky business, sliding around.
Oh God, that's a scary vision. Oh, that's
Would
fun.
we get sued if we played rock and roll?
We're only allowed to do 3 seconds.
3 seconds of it, okay?
And we can't replay it during the show any other time. And we have to stand on one foot and hold our hands like this. And, yeah, it's insane.
I really don't feel like getting sued.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Unless you want to stroke a check for like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, then you can play any music you want. So
they say in real estate, it's not if you've been sued, when you've been sued, and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm just keeping my eyes clean.
So a median day on the market actually has gone down for them. The townhouse is 88 days.
Yeah, a lot of them I've seen, and I've seen this. I remember this one. It goes under contract,
right,
and back on the market 3 or 4 days later. I've seen this happen like over the past 5 months. The thing has gone under contract like 6 times, and it keeps popping back. And
I wonder why. There must be something wrong with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can't be the inspections, because at this point they've had inspections, and they when you do an REO, they demand that you give them part of the things you sign. That you'll give them a copy of the inspection. Normally, you don't have to. You paid for it, but in a lot of times when you sign up for an REO, it says you will give that to them.
Right.
But once they know that stuff, now they have to disclose it up front. So if they know there's a leak and all that, they get that. They now have to change their seller's disclosure to say, we know this has all these problems.
That's weird. Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first quick break. And when we come back, did you know that your credit rating score may change overnight? Stay tuned to TREU Radio. I'm Tom Platini, your host. Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. We'll be right back.
.org.
Customer service and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors.
Hi, I'm Scott McAllister, General Manager of the McAllister International Team of Keller Williams of the Treasure Coast and co-host of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed every Friday morning on WSTU at 1450 a.m. I have a full real estate team with specialists in buying, selling, land and equestrian properties, distressed homes, and luxury waterfront. Call myself or my team at 561-756-0891 or online at treasurecoasthomesonline.com.
Welcome back to TREU Radio, Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platini, your host. I have Scott McAllister from the McAllister team in here. What up, Mr. Scott?
What's going on?
And Carol is out shaking her beautiful moneymaker, taking care of her clients this morning. And, of course, I have our new realtor, our super-duper realtor with us, George Matter, who's actually still on vacation. But in about a couple weeks here, he'll be joining us.
Excited to add his wisdom to the group.
Yeah, he's got a lot of years' experience.
And plus, he's one of the realtors that really cares. I see him at all the functions. He's one of those people, you see the same people.
Yeah.
Who are always giving, and he's one of those people.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's important, ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking for a realtor, is you want to find somebody who's involved in the community, who knows a lot about the community. It's going to make it a lot easier for you, but it also shows that they're not just out for themselves. And if you're not out just for yourself, they're probably going to do a little bit better job for you. And I've seen a lot of realtors out there, and for them, it's all about the glamour and the glitz and the and it's all about them and their fancy cars and their. But and if you say something about a networking
You seen
event,
what I drive?
Oh, yeah. Scott is definitely not about the glamour and glitz.
Well, one thing I don't like. I prefer customers to drive in their own vehicle for
Right.
many reasons. I think it works out. But so I figure having a beat up F-150 kind of encourages the customer. Yeah, we'll take our own car. We'll follow you.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to rip us off. Look at what he's driving.
But the thing is, I really need it because we do a lot. Like I said, we do a lot of equestrian properties.
Yeah,
We're out west
you
a lot,
need
so
that.
I actually need to
Yeah.
have the truck. But a few of my friends are like, "When are you going to get a real estate car, Scott?"
You put the horse in the back and go, okay, I'll throw the horse in with the deal, okay?
I was like, and generally, we have buyer's agents, so I work with a few buyers, but generally we pass along our leads to our buyer's agents that work in our team, and Chrysula has a H3 Hummer. They're all
Okay.
fancy, gorgeous.
Yeah.
So she takes people out. She does a lot of
Sucks gas.
equestrian properties, but people love it. They're like, ooh, especially the kids. They're like, oh, look at this car. It is.
Oh, awesome.
Does
Well,
Arnold Schwarzenegger come with it?
yeah, right. All right, well, to finish up our statistics that we had, the inventory active listing actually went down. So it looks like you're talking about, people are moving to the single-family homes because just about everything with townhomes and condos in this area, besides the closed sales, everything else is down. The price is down, the days on the market, the inventory listing, the monthly supply, so everything's down. So that means people are kind of shying away and moving to the single-family homes.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I would venture to say that will pick up towards the end of the year, most likely, because a lot of the folks that are coming down, snowbirds coming down, that's what they buy, right?
Yeah.
Townhomes, condos.
Well, you get a lot of people, if you're going to be here permanently, a lot of people don't like an HOA because they don't like being told what to do.
Yeah, I hate that.
Right. That being said, on the other hand, as snowbird, HOAs are very useful because they keep your place,
Yeah.
keep it mowed. It makes everything, if there's problems, there's somebody there.
Right.
So it really makes sense to somebody to have, if you're going to be here part-time, to have something more like a townhome, unless you have, a property manager.
Yeah, because I can imagine how that would be
it's-
just frustrating.
And what can go wrong? And it's amazing what can go wrong in a house, even in a week, which is why I told you, my dad used to do property management
Right.
at the high-end homes because their whole thing was, he had people because he was expensive. And I remember he was a friend of a customer of his was recommended to him and said, no, you're way too expensive. I don't need pay that much money just for someone to look after my house, and all this stuff. And my dad's like, okay, no problem. And, I don't know if it was just irony or what, but the guy had, the next week there was a roof leak, and it leaked for 3 weeks before someone caught it onto a baby grand piano and the carpet. They come into the house, the piano's warped, all warped.
Oh, my
And the
gosh.
carpet is just, mold. And, it's one of those oh, man.
So hindsight.
And the thing is, it is just someone looking after your property. We don't do that, up here anymore.
Right.
But there are companies that do that. And if you're going to have, a house like a single family home, it's worth looking into finding a property management company
Oh,
that you can
absolutely.
trust to look after your home, just to go in, flush the toilets. People don't think about that. You don't flush the toilets; they dry out. Snakes and animals and all kinds of things come in through those toilets.
You gotta walk in, you have Jumanji in your house.
It happens. It's nasty.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
but
that.
it's just little things. Keeping an eye. You check on. As everything going on, and that's the great thing about having a really responsible realtor. While we're representing your house, if you're an absentee owner, if you're not, we're always doing that. That's part of our service. We're going and checking on our listing. We don't just put a lockbox on it and then say, okay, everyone go and show it.
Right.
I'm going by there at least on a weekly basis, making sure it's clean.
Yeah.
I mean, realtors mess it up. I've seen people, the bathrooms are dirty and stuff, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure this place is, is presentable, because we have that responsibility, to our sellers and to the buyers and to other realtors. I want to respect other realtors' time.
That's awesome, man.
so-
People need to look into utilizing your family and your services. How would they reach you again, Scott?
You can call us at 772-444. 2590. I had a brain fart there for a second. But please also, and Carol, look into Carol's background.
Carol Morgan?
Carol has so much of a specialty, and George, it's just the team that I'm here with. They're really great people. Both Carol and George are mentors of mine. I've knocked on their doors many times, and they've always been so kind to provide their time
lots
to
of
me.
years of experience.
Because as much as my mom knows about so many things she's done, and I can get her information, she doesn't know the whole market. There are people who are better at different things, and that's the great atmosphere. We have our own team, but Keller Williams itself is a team to where we cooperate. She's not on my physical team, but I know I can count on her to help me when I need it, and she knows she can call me and, hey, Scott, I got this. Can you go and show this for me? Absolutely. You're my friend, and you're my, somebody I work with at PR.
Yeah,
so it's
that is
nice.
awesome. So, all right, so your FICO score.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, in the Realtor News that we get every day, there was an article. Changes are coming to FICO. Now, FICO score is that's your credit rating, and it's a broadly used credit score that may mean higher credit scores for many consumers. Now, banks, credit card users, auto lenders, and other businesses, they use these scores to decide, for buying a house. Obviously that's a big part of it. If you have a very, very low score versus a very high score, that can mean the difference between how much money you got to put down, what your interest rate is.
Interest rates, down payments, even little things like setting up your utilities.
Yes.
If you have, I had a customer, I don't know, it was over 800. But I was setting up his utilities for him. He didn't need any deposit. They're like, oh, you don't need any deposits. He doesn't need anything. He just signs it away because they look at that. They see that 800 and they go, okay, this guy's all right for it.
Absolutely.
And his process, he was only buying a small home, $25,000. And it's funny because he's somebody that you would look at. He's a gentleman that he's the head of he's a foreman on for a landscaping company.
Oh, okay.
So when you meet him, he's covered in dirt. His hands are dirty. He's sweaty. I mean, he's out in the sun.
Never judge a book by a cover.
Right. And he called he said he called 4 realtors. He's out in Indiantown. No realtor would go out and show him the property because in Booker Park, and a lot of realtors don't want to drive they say drive all the way out. It's like 20 minutes to Indiantown. People think Indiantown's so far away.
That's the hoity-toity realtors.
Right. So I was like, you know what? And we have properties out there that I can go check on anyway. And I was like, yeah, I'll meet you out there. Met him out there. $25,000 house that he wanted to turn into a Section 8, housing. And a lot of realtors, a lot of people would have looked at him and said, this, really, this guy doesn't have the. We went to the banks, had to get his proof of funds. He had a lot of money in his bank, and his credit score was over 800. And that's why I'm like, I tell people, make sure you're not judging. You
Absolutely.
really. You never know. Some of these people, they're the salt and earth people, and they're working their butt off every day. And I asked him, I said, how did you sock away so much money? Because he's an immigrant. He's only been here a few years. And he was like, my friends on Friday, they go out, they drink, they have fun, they spend money. He goes, I go home, I put my money in the bank. He goes, because I want to own property in America.
Nice.
And I said, well, here you go, sir. And it was rewarding to me. It wasn't a huge commission, but it was rewarding to me to have this guy, this smile on his face that now he owned a piece of America, and that was really cool.
Awesome. That is awesome.
So, but what's going on with the change in the FICO? I didn't hear about this.
So the Fair Isaac Corporation, the company behind FICO, says that there are 3 significant changes to its metrics, which it says is used in 90% of U.S. consumer lending decisions. Now, what's going to happen is debts that go to collection agencies and get repaid won't count against a consumer's FICO score anymore, which now they do. If they even if they were behind and you repaid them, they still stay on there for 7 years and are counted as a negative against your score.
So the way I'm reading this, if you had a poor score because you haven't repaid things that are still within the 7 years, if you go and repay them now,
yes, they will no longer not remove, but they will no longer count against.
They won't count against
a negative against the score anymore.
And that can help because there are people who, 4 or 5 years ago things might have been tough, and now you're doing okay. You're making a little bit of money. It might be worth going back. Hey, you know what? Pay off. I owe $1,000 here, $1,500 here. Pay those things off so that now you can
exactly. Now before, when you paid them off, it helped a little bit. But you still had a negative against you because they were past due, but now they won't count against your score anymore.
Well, that's good.
Here's a big one, and I know you come across this a lot. medical debts. Medical debts will have a smaller effect on the score. Now, if your only major bad mark comes from unpaid medical bills, FICO says it expects your credit score to go up by 25 points. Now, FICO scores go anywhere from 300 to 850. So if anybody out there was ever curious as to what's the low, what's the high, well, if you have 300, you're probably not even going to be able to get a piece of bubble gum. If you have 850, there's nothing that you can't have on credit.
You know, things that aren't like neatly tied up in a bundle sometimes really bother me. If the range is 300 to 850, why isn't it 1 to 550? I mean, what's the point of starting at 300?
I like that.
I don't understand that. Why not just start at 1 and go up to 550?
That makes a lot of sense. You know what? You have intrigued me. I'm going to Google that, and I'm going to find out about that.
It's just like what is a perfect quarterback rating? It's like 156.7 or something. I'm like, that's the top number. And we're
156.8.
0.8. Oh, I was
exactly.
off by 0.1. Damn, I was close.
This is our sports guru over here.
Excellent.
So 6 years ago, on August 3rd, 1926, the football game between Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers lasted for how many?
That's preposterous. There's no football games in August.
Oh, okay.
None that count. Go Dolphins.
And I was trying to think of two teams that would never play each other either.
They play each other in like 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I know absolutely nothing. Well, I should say nothing about sports. I know a little bit about it,
but that's really good about the medical debts because that's a
big thing.
That's a big thing. I mean,
Yeah.
and I nearly had a situation because I was the victim of an assault up in Chicago, and I had like $40,000 in medical bills. Now, fortunately, in Illinois, they have a victims' compensation fund. And if you're an innocent victim of a violent crime, the state usually pays off, your medical bills. But I've known people who've been in a similar situation in states that don't have that.
Violent crime. What, did you do something wrong and your mom spank you?
I
Or?
I was stabbed.
Oh, ouch! That hurt.
It was no good.
That hurt.
But,
in Chicago, in Illinois, Chicago. That's surprising.
There's no violence.
There's no violence in Chicago.
But people, that can happen to people, and that's one thing. You do everything right, but all of a sudden something happens to you, like a violent crime.
Yeah.
And then your medical bills pile up. Yeah. And I like that they're taking that as a smaller hit because that's not necessarily a sign of someone who's a deadbeat.
No.
If you're not paying off your JCPenney card, you're come on. I mean,
but medical bills, they're not cheap.
But medical bills, you're like all of a sudden, who can afford a $40,000
with insurance, the bills are still outrageous.
Absolutely.
They're still insane. And there's no way somebody's going to, my insurance only covered 80%. Oh, yeah, I still got $20,000 I can write you a check for.
So the question is, if they're going to make these better, are the companies, are the loan originators going to tighten up the numbers that they require?
They could possibly. That makes a lot of sense.
620, I think, is the absolute lowest you can have to get a lot of loans.
Yeah, and I would think that what's going to happen is because the scores are changing, that they're going to kind of reevaluate that a little bit and say, okay, if I have a little higher score now, that it's going to mean the same to me as a score that was in the 620. So maybe I'm looking at a 640 minimum. Right. That could possibly
That's where
be.
I'm wondering, where like almost like inflation, where it's like, oh yay, my score is going to go up, but now the requirements are going to go up.
But I hope it doesn't, because the things that I see them changing on here are things that a lot of people that have good credit, but just had a couple bumps in the road like you talk about, if they're repaying their old collections, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, if I've repaid it now that I'm doing better, why are you still going to hold that against me?
True.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, that was my past, but I've paid it off. I'm doing good now. My medical bills. You know what? There's sometimes you just, hey, if somebody, you didn't go up to the guy and go, oh, hey, I want some medical bills. Come over here.
Exactly.
Stick a knife in me a couple times.
And that's the thing. It's unexpected. It's unfair.
Yeah.
Things that happen to you through your own, own, that's one thing. But
yeah, I like this.
I'm glad that they're changing that. But if any of our friends in the mortgage industry are listening, give us a call, because I would like to know if your thoughts are they going to raise the requirements? Or the
I would like that. That's a good idea.
To find out.
And you would call 772-220-9788 if you have any questions. questions, or if you are in the finance industry whatsoever, give us a call here at the studio and tell us what your thoughts are on the FICO credit score changing. And have you seen, are you going to see any effect? Because this is actually as of August 11th, and it may end up being, I don't have a specific date of when it's going to start. But, yeah, give us a call here, 772-220-9788. And the last thing is that the technique will analyze people's credit worthiness if they don't have much of a credit history as well. So they're going to look at other things, rent history and different things like that. So I think that's a good thing. I really, because nowadays, I mean, pretty much credit's everything. Mm-hmm. Credit's everything. Very few people anymore pay cash for everything. Just like you said, your phone bill's on credit, your electricity's on credit, insurance is on credit, car insurance is on credit. They check your credit.
Jobs now.
Jobs.
And there's something icky and that bothers me about that. It's the same thing as the jobs, like where they go and search through your Facebook accounts and all that. But there are, I understand jobs where money's involved. If you're working at a bank,
right? They
want to see that they're like, if you have a credit problem, you might be stealing. But a lot of jobs now, they're asking for your credit because they feel that you could become a liability to the company.
Yeah.
And I can see it from a corporation that, like, it does. If you're somebody who's always welching on your credit, maybe they might consider that you're not.
And as an employer, that's something that I struggle with, is hiring people, because I can tell you, if you're interviewing me for a job, I can tell you whatever you want to hear.
Right.
And there's only so much that you can do to validate the things that I'm saying to you, if they're true or not. So you have to use as many tools. In the years past, you didn't have a lot of these tools. Well, you pulled a credit report on somebody, or you pulled a driver record just to kind of see, okay, well, the driving record's clean, they passed a drug test. Well, okay, and then you hire them, you think they're okay, and what do? They end up stealing from you. Well, maybe if you had checked their credit report to see how hard up they are for money, mm-hmm. Okay, well, this person owes everybody and their mother. If I bring them and let them start dealing with finances, are they going to take that money? So, I see it as a good thing. I really do. I think it's just for employers. For me, it's a way for me to find out if this person's telling me the truth, mm-hmm. and in their social life, are they who they're telling me they are?
Well, and then you can see if there's the one mark on the credit report that's from Shady Shark, loan services with a 1,000% APR loan.
Yeah, that's probably a red flag.
Or, we break bones.
Or works at WSTU, on Friday mornings.
Right. Yeah, if the guy's name is Tom.
Yeah. Don't hire him. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break, and when we come back, fears fading over looming home equity resets. Millions of customers with home equity lines of credit are expected to see their payments rise in the coming years. Stay tuned. Scott and I are going to be back. You're listening to TREU Radio, Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed, 772-220-9788. We'll be right back.
Customer service and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors.
Hi, I'm Scott McAllister, General Manager of the McAllister International Team of Keller Williams of the Treasure Coast and co-host of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed every Friday morning on WSTU at 1450 a.m. I have a full real estate team with specialists in buying, selling, land and equestrian properties, distressed homes, and luxury waterfront. Call myself or my team at 561-756-0891 or online at treasurecoasthomesonline.com.
Hi, I'm Carol Morgan, real estate consultant with Keller Williams Real Estate in beautiful Stuart, Florida, serving Martin, St. Lucie, and Palm Beach counties, and co-host of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed every Thursday morning on WSTU 1450 at 10 a.m. I have an extensive array of luxury waterfront and single-family homes. If you're looking to buy or sell, please call me at 772-631-1394 or go to StewartHomeListings.com.
All right, welcome back to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platania, your host here this morning with the McAllister team and the biggest and best member of the McAllister team.
Biggest, at least.
Mr. Scott McAllister joining us. Carol Morgan is out shaking her moneymaker, and George Matter is actually still on vacation, but will be back, I think, like September 5th. George will be back joining the show. And so the home equity resets. Now, this was something that caught my attention. Once again, if you folks would like to talk about the FICO score changes, if you're in the anywhere in the credit business, mortgage industry, whatnot, would love to hear from you. 772-220-9788. Love to get your input on how you feel. Do you think that's really going to affect the housing market from your end, or do you think that they're going to adjust the requirements based on that? So 772-220-9788. So what I'm seeing here, it looks to me like what's going to happen is that, the home equity lines is talking about 10 years draw period. Is that typically what a home equity line is set up as?
Well, yeah, without having to pay both, what they were saying, where you had to pay both the principal and the outstanding balances. They have, but what I'm reading here, what's interesting is they're saying the amount that it's going to go up.
Right.
When we're talking not on an individual basis, on a market scale, but the amount that it's going to go up should be offset by the decrease in unemployment and the increase in wages.
Okay.
So it's almost like I know a lot of situations where people are like, oh, their payments have gone up, but they have a better job now,
right.
So they can afford it. Now it sucks because you're like, oh, I want the better job, I want more money to keep, but at least it's balancing out still in some circumstances.
So what they're saying is there's actually 16 million consumers that have a home equity line of credit balances that at the end of 2013 had loans that were originated from 2005 in a 2-year period, when everybody, the prices were skyrocketing, the values were up at the top. Well, before the housing market collapsed, now all these home values went down, but these people, what they were doing is paying only interest on these loans.
But that 10 years, you're saying that 10-year drop period's coming to an end.
And that's when they're going to have to start making the principal and interest payments on those. So half of those 16 million are going to be coming to a close in the next year. And now some of them not necessarily. Now these are home equity line of credit. They're not necessarily renovations or things like that. I never realized that there was that many people.
There's a lot of them out there.
And now, how many of them do you think, from your experience, that they use the home equity line as kind of like a little nest egg in case, or do you think a lot of the people are just getting these home equity lines of credit and then just redoing the houses?
Smart ones are, but I've seen. And I've seen people get them to redo their houses, and they do the bare minimum so that they meet the requirements.
Yeah.
And then they use it on other things. And then some people are using it to pay off debts.
Yeah, that's smart.
Paying off really high interest credit cards and things like that, which is sad. Unfortunately, this is something that they, that you should have, not being flippant here, but they know the drop period's coming up.
Yes.
It's something you should have planned for.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't always, and if you've had circumstances that have hurt you, that makes it hard to come up with. But, I've seen when balloon payments come up, and people almost seem surprised. I'm like, do
they have those anymore?
Sometimes. I've seen a few situations.
I would have thought that after the market crashed the way it did, that they would have completely got rid of those.
Some people really got hurt with balloon payments. It was just ridiculous.
Explain for our listeners what a balloon payment is.
It's just when all of a sudden they call the whole thing due. They say there's certain circumstances where they can say we're going to call your entire amount due.
Wow.
And all of a sudden you have to come up with, you're a contractor. It happened in Port St. Lucie a lot. They were taking these ridiculous loans because they were like, contractors in 2005 were making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
I'm selling houses left and right. Nothing can stop me except the market crashing. And
now,
all these banks said, okay, we want our money right now.
Because at the end of the construction,
you do. And with construction loans, you have these, you're not financing it for 30 years a lot of times. You're financing it for very short periods of time with a balloon at the end because you're going to pay it by selling the house. You're selling the house, then you're going to pay the balloon payment off, move on to your next house, take your profit.
Right. No, that makes sense.
But yeah, people don't really do that anymore.
Now, they say clearly the risk in the market. Isra Becker, the vice president of research and consulting at TransUnion, told the New York Times, but we're not faced with an unknowable or immeasurable or nebulous fear.
Now, isn't that a little bit of redundancy? Unknowable, immeasurable, and nebulous. I believe they are all synonyms of each other.
And that's just somebody who wants to try to use a bunch of big words to make them, somebody told, I forget where I read that one time, that people who try to use big words to try to impress other people, they say it's almost a sense of showing ignorance. If nobody around you is going to comprehend a lot of the things that you're going to say by using consistently big words, could you say that with a different word?
Well, yeah, I have people, I tend to be verbose.
Yeah, like that right there. I have no clue what that means. So as far as I'm concerned, that could be like a venereal disease.
But I have, I've been accused of that because people will say,
right.
I like to mix up my language, and I read a lot, so I come across a lot of words. If I don't know the word, I look it up, and I like to spice up my language by just changing up words.
Right.
And if I can use a fancy word in place of a plain one, sometimes I will, but I will tailor myself to. If I'm hanging out with, playing basketball with the guys down the street,
you're not going to use verbose.
Did you read the latest New York Times article about, But at the same time, when if I'm talking with customers, I try to use a little bit more flowery language because I want to appear intelligent. Yeah. But if it's the way you use it, and I'll hear people use a big word, and you don't really know what that word means. You don't exactly.
You can tell the context they're using it in, right?
But I stopped being pedantic about people talking about irregardless. I'm just like, fine, so that you can say that. It's okay.
Oh, somebody at when I used to work at Train, she would constantly get on people. Right. It's not irregardless, it's regardless.
So there's our grammar lesson for the day.
All right, here.
Well, you know what? When it's just us guys here by ourselves, there's no ladies to keep an eye on us, make sure we're actually staying on task.
Exactly.
It's a Friday. It's
a radio
fun.
show. We're having a good time.
Is there any beer here?
Yeah, exactly. We're sitting here watching Mike with his. I don't know. What are you wearing that shirt for?
What is it?
God,
it's football season.
I thought you just said nobody plays in August.
What? Nobody plays games that count.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, games
preseason.
That count.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see. So now they're playing they're playing the Blackhawks, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, playing the Blackhawks. It's the top of the 7th inning, and it's 30-love is the score.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
We're getting a little silly today, but you know what? It's getting towards the end of summer.
Absolutely.
We're having fun. Everyone should be at I think a lot of schools starting back on Monday.
Yes.
I know my godson and his sisters are going back on Monday. I just bought them some new backpacks.
Nice.
And they
what a good group.
Yeah,
Godfather.
At least it's better in Chicago because we're talking about with the violence. In Chicago, the kids, if you at a school in the city, you have to have a clear backpack.
Oh,
and they only sell clear backpacks because they have to be able
to
see.
So they can see the Glock and the semi-automatic that's in the backpack. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was sad, but there were kids bringing guns to school up there, and it was. And I loved the city. I had a lot of fun.
Crazy.
But it's nice being in a town where I know, there's a lot of guns around here.
Yeah.
But people aren't shooting each other with them. They're just, they've got them locked up.
Yeah, I know some people that I'm amazed. I mean, they show me some of these guns that they have. I'm like, okay. And it's like, okay, I saw that in a action film. What do you need that for? You're going to go deer hunting with a little submachine gun? I mean, a rocket launcher. What's that for? The boar running through the woods?
Now they want to take silencers deer hunting. We had that news story this morning. They're trying to change the law so you can take your silencer out.
Now, see, I've always wanted to fire a weapon with. And you could see my military catching my brain, not calling it a gun as I'm talking, with a silencer. Always wanted to try to. Just the coolness of it. Yeah, like you're that stealth spy.
James Bond.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I've seen some people that have some just absolutely incredible things. But real quick before we go. talking about security deposits for rent. There was an issue, a thing here that they were talking about where the question was, is our lease ends soon, and I'm wondering if our landlord won't return the security deposit. Can I have him use the security deposit as my last month's rent?
Only if he agrees.
Exactly.
That's the answer.
That's it.
I know a lot of people who do it anyway,
Yeah.
but you are liable to have an eviction put on your...
Because he legally, without
It's his security deposit.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in a separate bank account, right?
Absolutely. Now, you can, if they don't keep it in a separate non-interest bearing bank account, then you can actually, they can get in trouble.
Yeah.
But there are, if it's security, it's security. Your first is your first month's, your last month's security is security. So do the right thing.
Yeah.
Just make sure you clean everything, especially ovens. I'm serious. They'll go after. They'll look at a dirty oven. They'll say that's $100 right
They
there.
charged me $50. There was a bag of trash that the cleaning lady left in the garage.
Yeah.
Okay, a bag. It was just a bag. It was all tied up. They charged me $50 for them to walk it to the front curb.
Yep, clean it, document it. If you have an iPad, best thing if when you're moving in, and if you see anything, if there's damage, document with a camera with an iPad, date it.
Yes.
And then you have that, and then when you move out, that way at least if you ever have a problem, you can say, this is how it was when I moved in.
Smart move.
So
smart move. Yeah. So you cannot now, regardless of whether, and in this situation, the landlord was known for not giving back security deposits.
Yeah.
So that was the reason that she asked the question, is that I know this guy's going to stiff me already, so I'm just going to, but yeah, an answer like Scott's saying, unless he originally agrees, which obviously he's not going to, this guy, that you're not allowed to use security deposits for rent.
just get a friend who's a lawyer to send a nasty
And they have 15 days in order to refund your security deposit. Unless there's an issue, then they have to notify you.
Yeah.
And then within 30 days, then they have to do that. So, well, hey, guys, it was great to have you here with us on Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. Scott, go start your weekend, my good man.
Oh, yeah.
And let's end the show with Zig Ziglar. When someone we love is having difficulty and is giving us a bad time, it's better to explore the cause than to criticize the action. Amen to that.
Amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. Carol Morgan, Scott McAllister, George Matter, and I'm Tom Platania, your host. We'll see you back here next Friday on TREU Radio. Have a great weekend.
Customer service and great rates. That's